Leslie and I have known each other since early childhood. We grew up on the same country road in Mississippi.
I think why we're good for the community of Mississippi is because we're a product of this community. We are just two country guys, and we were embedded with what I call the diamonds of good character.
Come, join the family, and help us build the community.
Charles, what's going on, my friend?
What's up, Leslie? Happy Friday.
Oh, man, indeed it is. Man, you know what? I got 2 words for you. It's time.
Okay, it's tell time. Me what you mean. What is the time for, Leslie?
It's time, man. We count the day. We're 25 days from Election Day. When I say it's time for action. It's time to do. It's time to execute. And I don't mean you have to wait till that day to execute, but I mean mentally, I'm exhausted of the preparation. It's time to execute.
Well,
so it's time.
I would challenge you. I would challenge you to look at it this way. It's 25 days left until the election is over.
Got a point, my friend.
It's not like the old days where that first Tuesday is the only voting day. And you know, I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about when it comes to Texas. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I bet you do.
But
I bet you do.
But before we go there, I really want to talk about, you know, we talked about ripples and the ripple effect last week. How about that ripple is turning into a wave in more ways than one? And so I kind of want to talk about that, Liz. Put up that picture from Time magazine. I want to talk about that.
All right. You got it. It's coming.
So we've been telling you for months and months and months that, you know, we needed to take heed with coronavirus. COVID-19 is real. And it seems like little outfits like ours and others and state governors and science, you know, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Burke, a lot of people have been telling us that, you know, hey, get your stuff together. I heard Dr. Fauci just yesterday say the baseline was still at 40,000 per day, something that you've been talking about on the numbers.
Exactly.
And guess what? Fall is here now, and we are seeing a new explosion of COVID-19 all across the country. 33 states are having increased numbers. I think there's only a couple of states that don't have increased numbers. And wouldn't you know it, this picture speaks volumes about ground zero. District of Columbia was doing relatively well in keeping down corona in their footprint. But then our president and his closest allies decided they wanted to have a super spreader event, which, you know, they can deny it, but Dr. Fauci just went on television and called it a super spreader event about an hour ago.
Indeed he did.
I mean, that means there's nobody in the White House other than the president, which, you know, he's infected. Kellyanne Conway is infected.
Wait a minute, let's just run down the list because it's a whole bunch of them, right?
Well, I don't know the list off the top of my head, but it's
right. Let's just start with the few we know that are prominent. Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey, helped them with the first debate prep.
Infected.
Positive. Kellyanne Conway, his former advisor, was it his chief of staff? I don't know.
No, Mark Meadows is the chief of staff. Mark Meadows is negative. Hope Hicks is an assistant. Kellyanne Conway is a trusted advisor. Both are infected. Stephen Miller is infected.
So I saw this meme last week, and here's what it said. It said it had 3 A's of the president in this picture. They all had on masks. It says, guess what these 3 share in common? Not infected.
Yeah.
Look, it's time. I have seen, I have heard, and I'm saying when I say it's time, Charles, I'm not, and I say it's 25 days till election is over. The other key word I said, I don't mean you have to wait till to start, but I'm saying mentally, we've got to get in that other gear where it's time. Execution, time. Accountability, time. Action, time. It's been time, but it's really time now because you still have time right now.
I would say go ahead and get it out of the way because while we have a pandemic going, there are those who are facing all sorts of things. 2020 is throwing everything to this guy. You got Hurricane Delta coming right up the pike in the Gulf. It's a lot going on. And then you got to think about voting. And people are having fatigue. And meanwhile, here's my thing with the ripple to a wave. So in this aspect, you are asking us for our vote as president, but you can't protect the White House. You, your wife, and everybody else is infected because you didn't follow your own CDC guidelines. You basically said mask for what? And now you're paying the price. And now you itching to get back out on the campaign trail because you see the poll numbers getting away from you. And guess what? The doctors are not giving you clearance. So now you're talking about just craziness, sheer and other craziness. Tonight, the president of the United States will be on television with Tucker Carlson and some doctor that we've never heard of for the doctor to examine him.
Huh. Wait a minute, Charles. Wait a minute.
You heard me, Liz.
No. I heard you, but I heard you, but I didn't hear you. Bring that back one more time.
President Donald John Trump will be on television tonight with Tucker Carlson, and some doctor is going to examine him on television.
I thought that was what you said, but I was hoping that wasn't what you said.
From a ripple to a wave, and that's a wave of foolishness right there. You know what I'm saying? What I mean, you have the most prestigious address for medical treatment. Hey there, Green. You've got Walter Reed Hospital, which you made the doctors in 2019 sign non-disclosures. I've never heard of this type of foolishness, Leslie. You already have HIPAA. You already have, the Patient's Bill of Rights. What you need a non-disclosure for?
Let's just be honest. Why would you need a non-disclosure when HIPAA pretty much is the law that states non-disclosure? Now, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Charles. I know, he's the president, and maybe he knows some things that I don't know in relations to that. But it seems like to me, the non-disclosure would just be extra.
Well, look at it like this, Liz. Look at it like this, man. First, they're federal employees, so they have security clearances. Then you have HIPAA from the patient side. There's only one small exception that I can even think of.
Mm-hmm. Give it to me.
And that's the public health exception. And basically all that means is if you're a threat to the public, and in this case, he actually is, because he's talking about going to rallies. And get this, tomorrow.
Wait
Put the picture back up from time, and I want you all to see how crazy this is. Put this picture back up.
Okay, the ripple.
No, the White House with the corona fumes coming out of it. Put that back up, and then I'm gonna tell y'all something that I just find just totally unbelievable.
You got it. Give it a second.
So I'm gonna do like 30 for 30 from ESPN. What if I told you that on September 26th they had a super spreader event at the White House, and this is the end result? But
all right, Charles, let me slow you down a bit. And then let's define a super spreader event in relation to what Dr. Fauci was talking about here. So when you say super spreader, what exactly does that mean?
It means any gathering. Well, first of all, let's talk about it like this. You have guidelines in place that have recommended numbers of people that should be in any space to keep down the spread of the virus.
Okay.
Within that, you're asking people to socially distance up to 6 feet. We always say 10 to 12 feet because it's airborne.
Right.
And we say wash your hands frequently, but most importantly, wear a mask for yourself and for your fellow man. September 26th, Amy Coney Barrett was the nominee put forward for the United States Supreme Court.
That's
and
good.
President Trump and all of his top advisors, lawmakers from Capitol Hill, other Republican, big wigs, grand poobahs, they were all there, and not many of them had on masks. And so it's a domino effect, that ripple that we're talking about. One person got it, another person got it, another person got it. And their justification for it, Leslie, was, it was outside. But if you look at the picture, which is going to be in history books, they're sitting side by side, shoulder to shoulder, and they're talking to each other. They're hugging each other. They're even kissing each other. Everybody's happy about being able to get another conservative Supreme Court justice possibly seated on the court.
Well, let's not even say possibly, because they have the numbers, right? So it's pretty much just
maybe they might have the numbers, but guess what? 2 of the people on the Judiciary Committee, 2 of the senators, they're infected with corona. So now they're trying to figure out if they can confirm somebody virtually. But check this out. Now, after all of that and everything that's going on, so you have up to 34 confirmed cases that are known about. They don't want to provide contact tracing because they don't want it to come back that the president is patient zero. Patient zero means he's the one that infected everybody, Liz.
Yep.
They can't have that. It's middle of a campaign. Can't have that out there.
No, you can't have him being the origin when he's obviously been very aggressive in his stance that masks are not necessary. In fact, his statement was when the reporter asked the question about why he don't wear a mask, he said, quite honestly, I probably never wear one. Just don't like them, and don't think it's presidential of me to have, presidents of other countries, prime ministers into the Oval, and with me having on a mask. Just not presidential. I won't do that.
Okay, then. Okay. Well, you see what that got you. But this is what I want to tell you. Tomorrow, he's having a campaign event at the White House. It boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. Because on one hand, we see this is the result from September 26th, and then that means that he's possibly still contagious and has, a viral load inside of him, meaning he can infect somebody, and people are going to go there for a campaign event. Absolutely. I got a couple problems with that.
Well, you should.
I got a couple problems with that. One, the White House is the people's house, taxpayer money. Now, you wanted to go back there because you didn't want to be in the hospital because you thought it made you look weak. But you're contagious. And you've been up there shooting videos that are crazy. They sound crazy. And you are infected. And you want people to be around you. Why are you putting people in danger?
Well, I think that's the message that he's conveying, is that I'm not putting people in danger, and that really I think his exact words were, there's nothing to be afraid about regarding corona. Don't let corona scare you. Don't be fearful of corona. I have, and I'm gonna put something up here just to show you, because I hear that and I don't hear that, because here's why. For me, why I'm afraid of corona. So let me just share my philosophy on why I'm afraid of corona, because he apparently doesn't it doesn't matter to him, but it sure as heck matters to me. So let's look at it. Give me just a second to pop this up here.
All right.
So here's why I'm afraid of Corona. $7,879,588 cases. 218,356 American lives that are now, once was walking and talking and breathing amongst us, now we can only view them from the graveyard. That's why I have something to be fearful of in terms of the virus. That's why I wear my mask, not just to protect me, but to protect you. I got 218,356 reasons why for people that cannot speak for themselves to tell us. So I'm going to yell it to the rooftop on their behalf. Wear your darn mask.
Yeah, you got to mask up. You got to mask up. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And that's a ripple to a wave, Leslie, because at one point it was 15 dead. At one point it was 5. And now it's 218 with an estimated 200 to 300,000 more by January. And there is no cure. Do not listen to somebody who tells you they went to Walter Reed and got a compassionate use exception, meaning that they had to write the company to get the medication that he got, that he's now shooting infomercials for, Regeneron. You know what I'm saying? Don't believe the hype. But you said it was time, so let's switch gears because we could talk about Dunny all day. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this now. Couple things. Let's talk about Michigan real quick. Because I need to go ahead and finish talking about Donald. The show is not dedicated to Donald, but I want to just point out foolishness, narcissism. You had 13 people arrested on yesterday by federal and state authorities for attempting or planning to kidnap, try, and kill the governor of Michigan.
Yeah, that one.
Now, they're going to deny it. They're going to say, they're going to give them every benefit of the doubt. But a lot of the people who were arrested were the same people who stormed the Capitol in full paramilitary gear. And it was right around the time that the president said, liberate Michigan. So you got to be careful what you say, because that ripple can turn into a wave. And in that instance, that wave is the potential kidnap, torture, and death of the governor of a state in the United States. Now, a couple things about this, Liz. I heard the press conference. I was coming back from court. And then I later saw the AG from Michigan talking about it. But where's Bill Barr? He's the United States Attorney General. On something this big involving a governor of a state, I would expect the Attorney General to be out front. But he hadn't been seen in a while since he went into quarantine.
Wonder why.
Ripple effect. He's in quarantine. He's in isolation. So, in the absence of that, the president, instead of wishing the governor well, checking on her to see if she had any issues, he goes to Twitter and attacks her. That's not presidential.
Let's be honest. It's been very little presidential because, before we get done today, I do want to, we didn't touch on it last week, but I wanted to touch on, because that term, I'm hearing that term, and it's used different ways every time it's used. So We say certain things that wearing a mask is not very presidential, but yet ignoring your own rules that you agreed to in debate is. We say that having social distance is not presidential, but not getting to the facility early enough to be tested and using the honor rule is presidential. I think at some point, all of us as citizens of the United, because last time I checked the Constitution, it said United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to have the common decency, and the basis of that is to look out for the other person.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing any of that, and all those things are what I deem to be presidential, but I'm not seeing very much of that. So I'm kind of confused about what is the true definition of being presidential then, because I'm hearing it used by the same person, but in different contexts every time he uses it. So which one is the one he's using? Or is it a chameleon and it just changes its colors based on its environment?
I'm gonna answer your question by quoting him. He shot a video on yesterday telling seniors that they were not vulnerable to coronavirus, but they were vulnerable, and that he was a senior, he's not vulnerable, but they are vulnerable.
Wait a minute.
Does that make sense?
No, not at all. Because in my world, you either are or you're not.
Right.
You are or you're not. It's either yes or no. You can't be yes, then no. Charles.
I mean, we could, like I said, this is not Dunny's show.
Yeah, let's just get it, because we don't want to give Dunny.
Yeah,
we don't want to give him that much, because we know he wants all the media attention he can get right about now. So I'll digress.
Simple and true. He failed at his job. He's failed to show the leadership that you would like to see, the qualities that you would like to see, and he should pay a political price for that, is what you're saying. That's and not only that, for the principle of those 218,000 people dead, Now
that's what 218.
Yeah, that's what I said. 218,000. He failed.
It just bear repeating again because they can't speak for themselves.
Yeah, he failed them tremendously, bigly. He failed them. And here's one other thing, and this came up in the vice presidential debate, of which Kamala Harris was stellar, but one particular point that was pointed out was pre-existing conditions. One of the reasons why that super spreader event was so important to them is because they've tried everything that they can to overturn Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act.
That's true.
The last thing they have left is the arguments on November 10th on whether or not to turn it over. And it should be like this. Okay, they have the votes in the Senate to get her on the court. And we find out today that she left off information on her previous confirmation. So I have questions about that, because that's an impeachable offense for her. So I'm gonna need to see that addressed on the record. I need to see why she's leaving stuff out. And if you left out one thing, are we sure that's all that was left off? But that's something else. I got sidetracked. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, the 7.8 million people that you just showed, they need presidential leadership as well, because if the Affordable Care Act is done away with, that means pre-existing condition coverage goes away. Being a survivor of coronavirus is going to have pre-existing conditions attached to your healthcare portfolio. If that's not reason enough for you to reconsider what you're doing and how you're doing it, I don't know what is, because the price of healthcare it could be something that could make or break your family's well-being. So,
well, it's not I don't think it's a can be. I mean, we all know the prices of healthcare. I think it can very quickly undermine your family's well-being. We've seen it. We've seen it force people into bankruptcy. Hey, I've been there myself before, dealing with huge medical bills after unforeseen hospital stays. So yeah, it can happen, and it can happen just that quick. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they're trying to take your healthcare away. So my thought to that is, fine, you have the votes to do it. The will of the people is not with you. So then you should pay a tremendous political price. It should be extracted from your political career. It should be a lot of people who are going along with this that go home on November 3rd and thereafter.
Well, here's my point, and I want to go to, and this is substance, just dealing with the facts. So, in looking at the vice presidential debate, because this is the topic you're talking about right now, there was a question asked to Vice President Pence. The question was that the president has repeatedly stated that he has a plan for pre-existing conditions. And then on the other hand, he's in court trying to repeal Obamacare that protects pre-existing conditions and provides insurance for over 20 million Americans. Can you give us a clear, definitive answer on whether you have a plan for pre-existing conditions and what that plan is? And if so, why are you in court trying to repeal Obamacare? He didn't answer the question.
There is no answer to that question, Liz. They've been off. So, okay, here's how this works. You run for president, you put up your best policy positions. You run for re-election, we get a chance to challenge you on what you have done. But if you notice, the slogan is "Make America Great Again." So that tells you everything that you need to know. Okay, conventions. Corona caused conventions to be pushed online, but that does not mean that your party does not put forth a platform. If you heard Joe Biden say in his presidential debate, he said, "I am the party." What was he talking about when he said that, Liz? He was talking about the party policy positions.
Right. He was basically saying that the party and his platform is synonymous.
Right. Well, in the Republican Party, I think we talked about this very briefly back when the conventions were going on. They didn't have a platform. So that should let you know right there. They don't have anything for pre-existing conditions. And he's been asked, the president has been asked this question on multiple occasions. And he has said, "I'm going to get it to you."
He has indeed said that. I have to give you that on multiple occasions, in fact.
So Pence wasn't dodging. He answered the question. Sometimes silence is the answer. There is no plan from the Republican Party as it relates to pre-existing conditions. They want the insurance company to write the plan. And we know that's the whole purpose of having the Affordable Care Act. Why you have Affordable Care Act or Obamacare if the insurance companies were going to do it right? You wouldn't need it.
I mean, you got a point there, no doubt.
So, all right, that's enough of them. Let's switch gears. Let's do a Mississippi issue right quick. Can you put up 65 for me? Because I want people to see this. Because I know we got some Mississippi watchers, and this is about medical marijuana in Mississippi, and it's on the ballot. And I've had a lot of questions about it, and I finally found a pretty good snapshot of it so I could give you a visual on how you should read it and how and what it all means.
Okay, let me get to that one.
So we'll switch gears from them because I just,
Is that the move and the flip? Is that the move and the flip? No.
No, it's a highlighted picture.
Oh, I got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you just put that up, I'll walk everybody through that real fast. Can you blow it up a little bit?
Let me see.
All right, that's good right there. Vote for approval of either or against both. Now that's convoluted at best. So one, they don't even tell you what it is that you're voting for. So initiative measure number 65 was put forth to have a way to have medical marijuana usage in Mississippi.
Man, if that's not double talk and confusion.
And so once it got approved to be on the ballot, our former governor, Phil Bryant, and his lobbying buddies came up with alternate measure number 65A, which sounds very benign. And I always tell you, politicians gonna come for you in the least flagrant language that they possibly can. So they piggyback with the language because they knew when they wrote the actual ballot issue, they were going to try to confuse you. So it's a two-step process. Medical marijuana, if you want to vote for it, you vote, you check the first box for approval of either, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go down to the next one, you vote for one.
Mm-hmm.
Initiative 65. It's kind of like a word salad, but check the first box on each.
Here's the interesting thing about that, and I think we can't go by this too fast, because essentially the A measure, the alternate measure, if you read it, if you look at that second, if you mess around and select both, so against both initiative measure 65 and alternative measure 65A,
then you voted against it.
You voted against it.
Check a box at the bottom.
You voted against it.
Yeah.
And here's the other question most people are going to say, Charles, what is 65A? Right? What is the alternate measure?
It means you're not getting medical marijuana.
Exactly. That's
right.
My point.
Right.
So this is convoluted. This is deceptive. This is confusing. And to me, this kind of throws us back to what they faced in Jim Crow laws with the way they used to give them the poll test. That was confusing to take. Look, this is very, very confusing, because remember, there is this concept called poll anxiety. When you get in a poll and you read in that, you feel like, and guys, I'm going to tell you, fight against this. You feel like you're on a time clock.
Yeah,
there's no time clock. You take as long as you want.
Yes.
There's no time clock. But it feels like there's one, and people rush through it, and stuff like this gets votes. The people didn't intend to vote that way, but it confuses people.
Yeah. I mean, so I just wanted to put it up because I think it's something that's needed. There's no need for Mississippi to have all the agricultural land that they have and not be in a position where you actually have laws on the book that support marijuana usage, because it's an agriculture issue more than it is a drug use issue.
Let me just check in the audience. Are you in favor of Initiative 65? I'm gonna put it in the chat.
What we got so far? Any interesting comments before we switch to suppression and what's going on in the election? I want to give you some viewpoints on that.
Not a whole lot right now. Everybody's kind of quiet today. Come on, tune in, family. Let's get those juices going. I know you guys have seen the debates. You've seen two, one debate and one, I don't know what that's called. But we've seen two events. We are 25 days out from the final voting day, and we got a lot at stake. We have a lot at stake this week. We got confirmations for a new Supreme Court justice. We have a lot at stake. We've got to, I started off the show today by saying it's time, and I couldn't be more clear in that. It's time, and we must take action and do something. Let me see. We got a couple comments coming in. Let me put them up here. Arkansas had to put it on the ballot twice for approval. And actually, I am in the great state of Arkansas this week, so it's good to be here. I did not realize it was on the ballot twice. Yeah. And then in addition, okay, it took 4 years to get medical marijuana up and running after the vote.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not it takes a while. This takes a while.
Yeah.
That. So I want to be clear on that. But we want you to understand what you're voting on, how they use the language, how they try to kind of really guide you down the path they want you to go. And
Yeah.
so we have to realize the time is yours to take. When you go into that booth and cast your vote, you are in no rush and they cannot rush you. Take your time, read it 10 times if you have to, but make sure that what you intended to vote is actually what you selected.
Yeah. I think you should take the time you need, listen.
I
But,
absolutely think you
but
should.
when we were growing up, in the church they used to hand you that sample ballot and walk you through it. So this is my old church rules kicking in. Let's talk about it and everybody will know. That's
Let's do it.
they're trying to confuse you. So, whether you use marijuana or not is not the issue. The issue is there are people who it has been a proven medical productive treatment. And so why deprive them because of your own personal views?
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, it's bigger than and people don't realize that the law that's on the ballot is not about whether you use marijuana or not.
No.
It's a much broader perspective than that.
Yeah.
And guys, there's a lot of data out on it now. So study Colorado, study Washington, study California, you can study Michigan. They got approved, I think, in the last couple of years. So do your research. Do your research.
Oh yeah. I think you do your research and then you go in and vote for it and come on out. But here's what I want to tell you. Polls are not votes. And with
we found that out. We found out that out in 2016, didn't we?
Yeah, but here's what I would say. Stop saying that because that's incorrect. That's an easy thing to say, Liz. Polls were correct last time, but it was bigger than just those polls.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, the polls were correct, and the actual final vote tally mirrored those polls.
And I think the reality is this: we didn't vote in the numbers that we needed to.
Oh no, we didn't. We didn't. And when you fire your polling outfit, which means that's your eyes and ears to tell you which way it's trending, you deserve to lose.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
Yeah, that's right. You deserve to lose because
I do want to take a second, Charles. I know we got some impeding weather hitting.
Yeah.
Where we have loved ones and a lot of friends and business associates in the Louisiana area. So I definitely want to take a minute and just, keep them in our thoughts and wishing for everybody to be safe and make it through the weather event, and just wishing for the best case scenario in that regards to Delta. I believe it's Delta.
Yeah, Hurricane Delta. It seems like the last time I checked on it, it was starting to pick up a little speed, which is not good. And I sent you a picture of it. It's big. You put it up for them so they can see. It's nothing to take lightly. It's
Yeah, it's it's pretty massive.
So I need everybody to take that seriously.
Yeah. So, a lot of people evacuated already. If you haven't, make sure you take the safety precautions given to you by your local officials, and look out for your neighbors, look out for one another.
All right. So this is what I want to tell you, Liz. Polls are not votes. Why do I keep saying that? Is because right now, if you look at the polls, you could take the false assumption that, I don't need to vote. Joe Biden has got it. And that would be what you're talking about. That's what you're talking about from 2016.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But here's the other thing. Even though polls are not votes, if you look at the numbers are absolutely staggering. Yes, you had roughly 85,000 votes in at this time 4 years ago. Right now, you about to hit the 6 million mark by the end of the day, buddy. And about, depending on where you are, it's about 20 between 22 and 32% of those people are the people who didn't vote last time because they looked at those polls and said, well, they don't need me, so I'm gonna ride the pine. No, we need everybody in the game. We need everybody in the game. And here's how we know everybody. Well, let me just say this. Because of those polls, the president is rushing to get back out on the campaign trail because he knows he's losing, which means that his internal polls are probably showing something a little bit worse. Otherwise, you take the time to heal and you get back out and you do it in a sane manner. But the game plan has been to use the courts to try and steal the election. Think 2000, Bush v. Gore, non-presidential ruling that the court said, oh, Florida. But here's the thing. What has been happening so far, because I've been tracking it on a daily basis, and I told you all I would, it's been kind of a mixed bag. Montana got a case kicked back. I think Sotomayor said she let them deal with it about absentee ballots. I think Pennsylvania has a couple things. Pennsylvania is all kind of weird right now because they just passed a ruling that says that the Republicans are putting together the Election Integrity Commission within the state legislature, and they're going to have subpoena power to be able to challenge the election while the election is going on. So that tells you how crazy it is right there. And so they're trying to use that as a model for all the Republican state houses that are in battleground states. My thing to our listeners and to anybody else, they wouldn't go through all of these hoops if they could just win by sheer force of numbers. They can't. We can. So vote. Cut out the noise and vote. Because in Texas, Governor Abbott, somebody forgot to show him the polling numbers when he expanded early voting. Because as soon as he expanded it, they said, wait a minute, you can't do that. And so he took away the drop boxes for every county. Harris County alone had about, 12 drop boxes?
14
drop boxes with a population of about 4.7 million. Fourth most populous state in the United States, larger than some states. And you got one drop box at the courthouse. I wonder why, Leslie.
Listen, I was telling you about that story, a few weeks ago. I was like, look, he in the doghouse with his party because in an election year such as this, and this goes to show you, we just call it like we see it on both sides of the aisle here, but on election year like this, if I was a Republican and I'm the governor of a state the size of Texas with electoral votes it carries, he ain't nowhere in the world I'm extending early voting time. So I was shocked.
Because voting is not a partisan issue.
No, it's not. But
you should be able to vote. You should make it easier for people to vote. It should be a national holiday.
Yes,
the problem is you are 100% correct in your assessment that they don't have the votes. So they're panicking. Like, exactly. What are you doing? And so he's taking the drop boxes away.
Exactly. Because do you understand? And for guys, for our younger listeners, and I'm pretty sure you know this, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. So when we look at the bigger states and the way the whole electoral college works, they carry more electoral votes. So when you take the state the size of Texas, it's going to carry a lot more electoral votes than Mississippi, California, same thing. So, for him to do that and extend it, and then keep in mind in Texas, early voting is very fluid. So that means you can go to any polling and see I think it was either last year was the first year or maybe the year before last, they expanded it then under his watch that said you can go to any precinct. You don't have to vote at your own precinct. So that means if I work on the other side of town with Dallas traffic, I go to a precinct that's close to where I work. So that changes the game. Totally changes the game.
It does. I agree with you, Liz, and that's 38 electoral votes.
38 that's a lot. That's a lot of electoral votes.
Yeah. And so think about this, because my class has been delving into this. Matter of fact, their midterm is around this issue. Changing trends in the South as to Black population migration. And so there are more young Black people, more young Black Latinx people in Texas than anywhere else in the whole United States.
Yeah.
That's why you see people in the Republican Party in Texas retiring from politics, because they know it's a wave coming. It went from a ripple to a wave.
It did.
And you couple that with a pandemic, and you have disaffected Republicans. And one of the things that we've been talking about with them is coalition building. How do you reach across and build a coalition of just raw vote power? And so that's what's about to happen in Texas, is that you're about to be overwhelmed by numbers. And
right. Absolutely. But think about what Texas, not only Texas and Arizona, what's been happening in the last 10 years. So now in Texas, look, Hispanics make up the majority of the count in Texas. You're talking, and it's steadily growing, and it's rapidly growing. So they predicted by 2050 that the United States would totally flip in terms of minority majority by population.
Oh, no doubt.
Now they're saying in states like Texas, they're going to peak that much earlier in the game. It's going to happen as soon as 2030. And
right.
So this is a whole different ballgame.
For purposes of this year's cycle, though, it's about coalition building, because the numbers are not quite there. I think it's growing at like 1% every 2 years.
Well, let's bring in some of the comments. We got chat has gotten a little active. We got Pastor Rob in the house. What's up,
Right. So Rob
got to say? He says our democracy is in danger. We think we're too strong to fail, but we're not. And then he continues that and says the American democracy is fracturing and is not unintentional.
Oh, Robert, I'm so glad you said that. Mike Lee, who was infected with coronavirus, had the nerve to say yesterday that the democracy part of it doesn't matter. Now, that's the sitting United States senator that said that. So, yes, it is not unintentional. No. What they want is the official class system.
Right.
Because they don't want to honor the votes of the regular citizenry.
Oh, so let me put that in a different perspective and bring it all the way down and make it plain. What they want is to say that my vote, because I am of a certain economic and society level, that my vote weighs more than your vote.
That's right.
So now our votes are not all equal. That's but right. I can tell you that as an African-American male that has lived in this world for the amount of years I've been on earth, I have never had it equal. My whole life has never been equal. So we definitely understand and are sensitive to the fact that if you want to make it a classist system, we've already lived. We already reside in a classist system by race. So now you want to take the vote and you want to say, hey, your vote is worth 3/4 of what my vote is. Yeah. That's not cool.
So I want to point out one thing to you, and I heard this last night. We've been having this. We talked about Michigan, and that's got a white nationalist bent to it. We're talking about suppression in Texas. That's got a color line bent to it. I heard somebody say one of the most profound things I've heard in 2020 and probably in 48 years.
Okay.
And her statement was, you are concerned about them taking down Confederate monuments. She said, my body as a Black woman is a Confederate monument. Mm. Let that sink in. Mm.
Woo. Wow.
That one got me, bro.
Wow.
But here's what I'm here. This is what I'm here to tell you. They wouldn't be trying to suppress the vote in Texas if they thought they could win fair and square.
Of course.
Guess what? It's
So-
in court. It's in court. They probably gonna reverse it. Even if they don't reverse his drop box issue, he's pissed everybody off now. So I expect it to be a hornet's nest coming out and everybody do their duty.
Yeah, and I think what he's done is made himself a political casualty. But let me break down why it's important. So here it is, guys. California electoral votes 55. The next biggest state to that is Texas with 38. California has typically always been a blue state, but Texas is the biggest Republican electoral state at 38 electoral votes, and they've extended the amount of early voting days, and you have unrestricted voting precincts, which means you can vote at any precinct. Second is
one other thing to that though, before you move away from that, Texas is the same night reporting state.
Yes, it is. It is. So you're gonna get it instantly.
That's right.
You're gonna get it instantly, and then the next state after that is New York with 29. And guess who's fourth, and why it's always so important?
Florida.
Florida, 29 electoral votes in Florida, same as New York.
That's
So
right.
guys, I mean, look, there it is right there. So when you talk about the suppression in Texas and why that's at play and why that's, I mean, just look what Ted Cruz has been up to lately, right? This is the man that once had the president of the United States demean him and his wife, who publicly said that he could never get behind and support Donald Trump, and now he's his biggest supporter.
Everybody likes to be close to the seat of power, Liz. So it is what it is. We may not agree with their politics.
Yeah, but as T.I. says, who's gonna speak truth to power?
Well, they not. So they never were. So why you asking them to do something that they were not prepared to do to begin with? My thing is this, and this is why I harp on it. This is why we talk about it for 2 weeks straight in class. I know they sick of me talking about this. Trends in voting. The example that I always give them, because it's a high electoral number, Georgia. New South, 2 seats. You got one on the special that Reverend Warnock is running for, and then you got Ossoff in the other one. So check this out. Right before we came on the air, I guess they're getting ready for the debate over there. Loeffler, I guess her people jumped the gun and they put out the tweet that she was going to use for tonight's debate right afterward. Okay. And it says generic tweet. I can't make this stuff up. It says generic tweet. Well, I'm going to say to the people in Georgia, go vote, because you got the numbers. Any one of my students that's in here watching this right now can tell them the breakdown on the numbers, because not only do you have Fulton County, you got all the collar counties around it. You got what's called a flip zone. You got enough votes, you got enough coalition that you can go grab 2 Senate seats right there in Georgia and possibly grab the presidential.
And by the way, how many electoral votes is Georgia?
Is it 18? I don't know.
Yep. I think so. 16.
Okay. Don't be pop quizzing me, Liz. It's been a long week.
Come on, Professor.
Yeah. So, all right. That was Georgia. Now, let me back up, because Rob was in here raising a very important point. Rob is in Kansas, right?
Yep.
Dr. Bowler, she has a debate tonight, if I'm not mistaken, in Kansas. She would be probably one of the only, if not the only, physician in the United States Senate, and she has a chance to win her Senate race in Kansas. Wouldn't it be nice to have a doctor in the Senate right now with the outbreak of COVID-19?
Yes, it would be. So, yeah, and then as he talks about the states, I'm just giving you the electoral vote count. Kansas is 6,
Well, you're not gonna get Kansas, but
You know, no, you're not.
Tennessee. But polls just came out today, I believe it was today, that says that Kansas is now a battleground.
Well, you know, in Kansas, Arkansas, which I'm in today, so Kansas, Arkansas, Iowa, Mississippi, Nevada, and Utah all have 6 electoral college votes.
Yeah. Mississippi, my home state, your home state. Cindy Hyde-Smith is our senator. She refuses to even come to the debate stage because she doesn't want to back up. She doesn't want to back up her record and her support of Trump, and nor has she tried to put forth any type of stimulus to help the people of Mississippi.
So is there not a senatorial debate going on in Mississippi?
No, sir. She said it's not enough time. Her rationale was it's not enough time, and I'm conservative. He's liberal, so what do we have to talk about? That makes absolutely no sense.
Wow, you have a lot to talk about because you have very little coming
We have a lot
around.
to talk about. So that's another Senate seat that's gettable. South Carolina, Jamie Harrison versus Lindsey Graham.
Yes.
Lindsey Graham tried to play the uppity Negro. I'm just gonna say it, uppity Negro card today to get out of his debate because he got stomped because Jamie Harrison asked him for a COVID test, and he didn't want to take it. And so he said Harrison was trying to be better than the people of South Carolina by asking him for a COVID test. Not only is that prudent, Lindsey Graham was at that super spreader event.
Yep.
So it's very prudent, not just for Jamie Harrison and his family, but for everyone that would be in the audience. So guess what happened? Lindsey wouldn't submit to the test. So Jamie said he wasn't going. They didn't cancel the debate. They moved the debate online. It comes on in an hour. So if you want to watch it, hey.
You know, I think we have some other states that's going to be very interesting and at play. Arizona.
You
know, Massachusetts and Tennessee. Certainly Tennessee is going to be one to watch.
You think so?
It's going to be one to watch from a standpoint. It could be a sleeper.
Well, if Joe Biden wins Tennessee, son, the whole thing over. I don't see that.
It's a long shot, but I mean,
I don't see that. But I do see time needs to be spent in Nebraska's first congressional and Maine. Those are 2 1-point electoral college districts that are very important.
And then obviously Michigan, Pennsylvania is huge.
Yeah, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The thing that's troubling for me about Wisconsin is they just had to build a field hospital because they don't have any more hospital beds left.
Yeah.
And so that's, you're talking about.
Wait a minute, back up, guys, because a lot of you guys thought we were beyond the hospital beds filling up. You thought the pandemic was over. No, we still in a pandemic. We still got issues.
Yeah.
Where you at?
Let me just give you a couple more that you need to look at. States that have senatorial races. And let me just stop and say that I'm talking about these senatorial races for a reason, because you don't just need just the presidency. I think that's where we've gone wrong. You need to be able to actually fix some of the damage that Rob was just talking about.
Yeah.
You need to fix some of that damage. You need to be able to protect women's right to do whatever they want to do with their body. I'm not
Roe versus Wade. Yeah,
that's not for us as men to be even thinking about deciding. It's not even. We shouldn't even have a position on that because it's not our body.
Exactly. How can I make a decision about a body that's not mine? That's not my. I support a woman's choice to make her own decision about her own body. Period.
That's no. So that type of stuff. You need to fix that type of stuff. We talked about healthcare, climate change, California burning down, and this man talking about they need to rake the forest. No, come on, man.
You got away, my friend. You got away with words.
Yeah, Iowa is in play.
Flooding, massive flooding in Iowa, which is a huge agricultural state.
They lost a whole crop in the Iowa, Liz. They had something called a derecho. You ever heard of that before?
Never heard of it.
Flooded all the crops.
And then they had massive flooding. You know, I always tell people, you know, not enough water is bad for farming, but too much water
is bad too.
You know, LaShonda says she sees Texas flipping, game over, and then she says Supreme Court should be 5 for men and women.
I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg once said she wasn't gonna start wrestling until it was all women. So I mean, I think it's some truth to that. It should be diverse by gender and by everything else. It should be diverse across the board, because although we have a lot in common, there are many things that we may not get culturally. You need to have a voice for all of it.
I agree. So you need to have diversity in thought.
Yeah, you need to have diversity in thought. Did I hit all of them? North Carolina's in play.
Yeah. You know, North Carolina was in play last time for a little while.
Yeah, but it's really in play.
Really in play now.
Senators got, you got some issues going on over there. I'm not gonna get into those because we're about to run over time. But this is what I want to tell you. This is what I want to close on. Put the picture up of the 102-year-old lady, because this is what I'm telling you. If you have this spirit, then Texas flips and everything else flips, and those polls become right. Because she was not to be denied. It's a picture that I sent you.
I got it.
Yeah. So you need to be this determined to vote. She got on hazmat to go to the post box. You know, we got to be that committed to get that vote.
How bad do you want it?
That's right.
She wanted it. How bad do you want it?
Yeah. Ohio, Leslie. Ohio is in play.
What? Come on now.
Yes.
I don't know. Okay, you don't buy me on Tennessee. I don't quite buy you on Ohio. I wanted to be in play, but you're gonna have to share some light on that for me. How you see Ohio?
Ohio is in play, sir. Secretary of State tried to be flipped with a federal judge. Federal judge told him to put the drop boxes back. He said, fine, I put them back. I just put all of them at the courthouse. So today, before we came on the air, he got sunned by the federal judge who said, don't play with me. Put the boxes where they're supposed to be. And it's not your decision to make anyway, because the elections are a county issue.
Whew.
You don't play those type of games if you have the votes. So what I'm telling you is, don't listen to all that noise. When the president goes on TV tonight to get his reality show diagnosis, don't listen to that. Go write some notes. Go call. Go volunteer virtually to help somebody get out the vote.
And let me say this, Charles. The last thing I want you to hit before we get out of here is this. Last thing that came up in the debate. It's the last point of the day. Feel free to chime in. But the question came up, and it was a direct question asked both in the presidential debate and the vice presidential debate. It didn't get answered. I wanted to bring it in front of you. The question was, if you lose the election, will you accept the vote of the people, or will you challenge the results of the election? So my question to you is this. From a legal scholar standpoint, can he do that? And what could the possibilities be if the results of if the Democrats win the election and the results of the election are not accepted and are challenged?
There's all sorts of things that can happen after November 3rd, Leslie. The reason why that question is so important is because the thing that distinguishes the United States from almost every other major democracy is this. You know, wow. You have a peaceful transfer of power, meaning that you accept the will of the people. He's already told you, and we just spent 20 minutes talking about all the ways they're challenging in court. That is so that they can say that there was something wrong with the vote. What I am telling you is the answer to that question is to vote. He can't stop everybody from voting. All the machinations that we could go into about what happens before the 21st of January when the swearing in ceremony is, it's 50 different scenarios that I could take you through. Let's cut through that. Vote.
If we vote, it don't matter.
That's right. If everybody vote.
There it is, family. You heard it. There it is. That's the question everybody wanted to know. Probably the most asked question I got today. But look, go vote. Encourage others to vote. If you got to help somebody get to the poll to vote, get them to the poll. And don't stop working. It's time. It's time, and it's time. Remember, there are 218,356 Americans that can't vote, that can't voice themselves, that can't express how they feel. We've got to do it. If not for yourself, do it for them. We love you, and we'll see you next Friday. Stay tuned and be safe, everyone.
Leslie and I have known each other since early childhood. We grew up on the same country road in Mississippi.
I think why we're good for the community of Mississippi is because we're a product of this community. We are just two country guys, and we were embedded with what I call the diamonds of good character.
Come, join the family, and help us build the community.